Okay, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Phoebe Bishop. I think by now most of you know who Phoebe Bishop is. If you don't, there is a growing playlist on my channel that you can go and check out. Phoebe is a 17-year-old girl from Queensland, Australia, northern part of Australia. She went missing on the 15th of May, so she's been missing now for 3 weeks. The latest news is that her 2 housemates have been charged with a red rum. You know what I mean? YouTube doesn't like that word. And they have appeared in the Bundaberg Magistrates Court this morning. So that's a very brief overview, but I'm going to go through so much during this video. So I'm going to start with last night's press release, and then I'm going to have a look at a post made by Phoebe's mother, Kylie, and then we'll talk about where things are at with the investigation. And yeah, a huge shout out to all the people who posted on my last video that those 2 had been arrested. Just give you an idea of what's going on in the background here. YouTube has this wonderful new policy that they've just decided to put in place, where to make sure they're being fair in terms of not demonetising videos unnecessarily, they're now doing an extra check on videos, which means that you get even more of a delay with being able to publish your videos. So usually when you upload, you might have to wait 20 minutes or so while YouTube runs a check through your video to decide if it can be monetised. You can't upload before that or you get penalised. You may get your video demonetised just out of spite, basically. But now, with this wonderful new system they've got in place, it can take up to 24 hours for your videos to be cleared for upload, which of course really isn't ideal for small channels, and I think it's going to crush a lot of small channels and basically wipe them off the platform. With yesterday's video for Phoebe, it took 4 hours before I could finally make it public. As you may have seen, I did in fact I did release it for my members, because I was able to do that without penalties. It just meant that the views that my members got, I didn't earn any income from that, but you know, they're members, they pay membership, so why not? I did the same thing with another video last night which I released. I also made the mistake of releasing that before the checks were all done, and I'm not sure if they demonetised it out of spite or if they were just going to demonetise it anyway. So yes, there are delays with me uploading the videos and making them public. So by the time that my video was uploaded last night, the news was out that these guys had been arrested. But to be honest, having spent the afternoon working on another video, it was getting late. I just wanted to go to bed. So I decided to leave this update till this morning. And I also wanted to wait and see what news there was after they attended court. So I'm now able to add all that in to this video. So enough of the waffling. Let's first look at this press release from Queensland Police. Now, as many of you will probably know, the news of the arrest was out pretty quickly last night, so they were in fact arrested just shortly after 6 o'clock last night, and news travels fast, so I think people were posting almost instantaneously on my video straight after they'd been arrested. So, good catch, everyone. So let's read what is said here. Detectives have charged a 34-year-old man and 33-year-old woman with murder in relation to the disappearance of 17-year-old Phoebe Bishop. Phoebe has not been seen or heard from since May 15th. Police have conducted several inquiries during their investigations, including multiple searches of Goodnight Scrub National Park, forensic examinations of a Gingin property and vehicle. The remains of Phoebe Bishop have not been located to date. Detectives continue to investigate this matter and physical searches will continue as needed as information is provided. Both the man and the woman were arrested tonight in the Bundaberg area. They've been charged with 1 count each of red rum and 2 counts each of interfering with a body. The man and the woman are due to appear in Bundaberg Magistrates Court tomorrow, June 6th. And they did in fact appear this morning. So investigators actually have given some information to the media now. So I'm just going to go through a few things that they've said before I look at posts from Kylie, Phoebe's mum. So they have said that, first of all, they believe that the pair of them moved Phoebe's remains on more than one occasion, and that one of those occasions she was at Goodnight Scrub National Park, which I think many of us had suspected that was what was the case when they were talking about how items of evidentiary value had been moved prior to them searching the area. Now I'm just going to add in there, based on the statement that was given by Wood that I read in yesterday's video, I suspect that investigators are probably expecting to find Phoebe in a duffel bag. I hate even having to think about it and say that, but we did have that ridiculous story from Wood about how Phoebe was last seen with a big duffel bag, nearly as big as her, or as big as her, when she vanished from Airport Drive. So I think there's a bit of guilty leakage there, and I think that when Phoebe is found, I believe that they probably will find her remains in a duffel bag. Horrible thing to think about. Now, they also confirmed that 3 people arrived near to the airport and 3 people never exited the vehicle. In other words, they are basically saying that whole story that Wood put out is just a load of bunk. They've also said, there is a vehicle we believe Phoebe was transported in, but they will not disclose that at the point in time. However, with them saying that, it has been reported by the media that Wood's 4-wheel drive, which you can see on the screen now, that Hilux, has been seized and towed for forensic examination. So I think that's telling. They've also confirmed that they reached the point where they have in the investigation as a result of telephone data and from over 200 tip-offs to the police. And here's the thing, when you live in a small country town, people see things, people know things, and most people are going to do the right thing. Clearly not all, or by now we would have found Phoebe, but most. Detectives also confirmed the stories about dogs being removed from the property that were no longer living. So there were 2 posts made by Phoebe's mum Kylie last night, which were an hour apart. This first post, you can see she's edited and just added at the top of it, "Please note, we as a family were told this minutes after I posted my post. Our world has been shattered into the most horrific place I've ever been." And this is the post that she had put just shortly before that. "I need my baby home to put her to rest. I'm absolutely begging anyone that knows anything to come forward. We need to put her to rest. We need to put her to peace. Day 21 of our baby girl still missing. My heart is holding on to every little memory and hope that you come home to us, Fifi." The little internal family jokes, the little digs at your siblings, and the love that you all unconditionally shared. The fierceness of what was beyond beautiful and unique. I remember someone commenting once that you were all so codependent that you finished each other's sentences. This statement made me the happiest mum alive. Your sibling bond is deep, meaningful, and makes my heart so happy. The emotional connection, love and friendship has always been unmatched and unquestioned. 21 days without a text, a call, or any contact. I know our daughter, and this isn't her behaviour. Anyone that knows Phoebe knows how deeply and unconditionally she loves her family, her friends and her socials. Someone knows something. Someone has the answers to bring our Fifi, our nanny Fee, our auntie nanny, our Fleeflee, and our family member home. I'm absolutely begging for anyone with information to come forward, please. And then you had a similar, much shorter post an hour later, just basically begging for anyone who knows anything to come forward. So, while they did keep the times pretty quiet in terms of when they were appearing, the pair of them didn't appear in the Bundaberg court this morning. However, it was their first mention. They also didn't appear via video link either. So it was just their lawyers present. Presumably there is fears of reprisals from locals. So, of course, while many people would argue that they don't deserve it, essentially they're still considered innocent until proven guilty. So both the court and the Bundaberg police have an obligation to ensure that their well-being is looked after. So neither of them were present in court. They did not appear via video link, and they have been given permission to not appear at the next mention. So they are currently remanded in custody at the Bundaberg Watch House. Presumably they're not going to be telling the public when they are going to transfer them to Brisbane. It will be something that is kept very, very quiet and done on the down low, because these are quite possibly 2 of the most hated people in Australia at this very moment. In terms of the mention, this has all been adjourned now till the 11th of August. And as I said, they're both excused from appearing on that occasion. The courtroom was closed to the public, meaning that only members of the media and family were present in the courtroom at the time. It'll be interesting to find out if this is what becomes the protocol with this case, because I'm seriously contemplating a road trip up to Queensland when this does finally go to trial. It would, of course, depend on the length of the trial because I have dogs to consider and I would have to either find daycare for them somewhere in the Brisbane or Bundaberg area. I'm guessing it'll probably go to Brisbane. Or leave them down here with family, and I don't like being gone from them from like even just a full day. So I haven't made up my mind yet, but if it is going to be closed to the public, then obviously that's going to wipe that off. Now, both Wood and Bromley were represented by legal aid. I'm going to guess that they will continue to be represented by legal aid because neither of them strike me as being financially capable of getting their own lawyers. That is, and I don't like to speak ill of legal aid, but you don't exactly get top criminal trial lawyers in legal aid. So that's certainly a positive thing for the prosecution. I think we can agree that Wood has basically made things worse for himself with all his things coming out in public and trying to sway opinion. I have no doubt that he's been posting on things on Facebook, and of course he's had friends releasing text messages from him at various times to try and make people think that he's not innocent, even though you just have to look at the guy. I mean, seriously, he's not the brightest one in the pack, is he? One of his stories that he's put a lot of stories out that are trying to basically put shade on Phoebe to make it look like she is somehow responsible for her disappearance. One of his ridiculous stories that he put out was that she had stolen $5,000 worth of cash from him and Bromley, as well as some jewellery. Now, seriously, if that guy had $5,000 worth of cash, well, it wasn't hard-earned money. It was cash that wouldn't have belonged to him. But, I mean, get real. So I'm going to play another clip for you. I'll just pre-warn you. It is a clip of Phoebe's sister coming out of the courthouse. And she spoke to the media. It is heartbreaking to watch. I'll just pre-warn you.
As best as can be. Because, I don't know what to say. If you've got any information about Phoebe or the trial or anything like that, just come forward. 3 weeks is too long for us as a family and all of our friends. We just want a home. And yeah, she was loved. She's missed dearly. And yeah.
What an incredibly brave young lady. As you can see, I don't know who the people were with her. I'm guessing they were family, but it wasn't her mother. Her mother probably couldn't even cope with attending court. But, you know, to be able to go into court without her mother there with her, at least she had support, but then to actually speak to the media and to be able to hold it together enough to speak on behalf of the entire family. I mean, you know, I have great admiration for that girl. Now, I also have a clip from another one of our media outlets. That is an interview with a criminologist who is a university professor, just discussing some things in relation to this case. And I thought there were some worthwhile things that she said. So I thought it would be worthwhile for me to play her talking as well.
For more, we're joined by criminologist with Central Queensland University, Dr. Xanthi Malik. Great to have you with us. So what did you make of this development?
Good morning. So obviously this is a major breakthrough, but we are still quite early in this investigation, and we have to remember that the accused retain the right to the privilege of, presumption of innocence. So it's a long way to go before we actually get final answers in this case.
Now, I'm certainly not condoning any action, but I think we can acknowledge that where they're going, they will not be presumed innocent. I also suspect that if Queensland is anything like every other state in Australia, that they won't have the luxury afforded to them that so many American criminals have, in terms of they won't be kept long-term in isolation, because there's only so much space in isolation cells in Australian jails, meaning that they probably will be put into maximum security, essentially in general population, eventually.
So as of yet, Phoebe's remains have not been found. How common is it to charge someone with murder without a body?
It isn't easy, but we do have in Queensland the no body, no parole law, so that is progressing things a little. But we have got some famous cases, Samantha Murphy, for example, and obviously Chris Dawson was successfully prosecuted for the murder of Lynette Dawson without a body. So it does happen, but it is unusual, and it is certainly harder to prosecute these cases.
Honestly, I think Wood is such a dimwit that they won't have trouble prosecuting this case at all. I think they're probably going to end up with a mound of evidence. So I just wanted to talk about Samantha Murphy, because she's mentioned Samantha Murphy and hasn't given additional details. She was a 51-year-old mother from Ballarat, down here in Victoria, in central Victoria. She went missing in February of last year whilst out on a run. Her remains have still not been found, and a young man by the name of Patrick Oren Stevenson has been charged for her death. He will go to trial next year. I believe it's April of next year that he will go to trial for this. But like I said, they haven't found Samantha yet, but they were pretty damn quick to bring charges against this young man. And obviously, to reach a point to bring those sorts of charges means that they have to be pretty confident of getting a conviction. If you are interested in Samantha's case, I do actually have a playlist on my channel where I've covered her case to some extent. In terms of Samantha's trial, I think I will be following it from the comfort of my own living room, because there will be WebEx connections. But I was asking Ping last night, if you've not come across his channel, it is Evenings with Ping, I believe, and I will add a link in the description section for you if you want to go over and check him out. He's also covering the Erin Patterson case, the mushroom case. He's in court every day with that at the moment, but he has said that he will actually attend the trial for Stevenson next year, because he is another Victorian, so it will be something that he can manage. It's still a 2-hour drive down to Melbourne each day, dealing with traffic. I'd rather just watch it on WebEx and report on it that way.
Xanthi, the other charge laid against them is interfering with a corpse. What exactly does that mean?
Well, that can mean a number of things, but anything in essence where the body is treated without respect. So that could be moving a body after burial, for example, disinterring remains. So anything where disrespect incurs.
So as I mentioned earlier in the video, that goes back to the fact that detectives believe that they have moved Phoebe more than once, and that one of the locations was the national park area where they were searching.
Okay, so how will the police investigation look now that they have laid charges?
So certainly the police will be looking for Phoebe's body. That will remain a priority. And whilst we're not at the beginning of this investigation, they still have a lot of information to work through. So they have many months now of collecting information and processing that ahead of them. And so this is going to be a long investigation with a lot more information to be found.
So I mentioned in a few other videos, there is the obstacle of there are areas where phones drop out of service, so hence the reason they haven't found Phoebe yet. But I think we can be confident that those two are going to rat on each other. Woods is in it for himself only. He's got no loyalty to Bromley. And given that police have also said that they don't believe, or they're not looking for any weapons, or they don't believe any weapons were involved or something, to me that sounds like the main culprit here is Wood, and I suspect that detectives will be basically trying to get Tanika to talk. I'd imagine she's been given the maximum penalty, given the same charges as Wood, to pressure her to talk. No doubt behind the scenes forensics are working their butts off. I had wondered if perhaps when they first seized Bromley's car, if they may have put a tracking device on the car. Who knows? That may or may not come out in trial. But it seems that if they did put a tracking device on the car, clearly neither Wood or Bromley returned to where Phoebe was. And of course it sounds like they have a heck of a lot of witnesses who can attest to various things relating to this case. Sounds like Wood just couldn't keep his mouth shut, even if it wasn't very convincing, but those things will still be used against him. And one thing that has come out from multiple locals, if you watched yesterday's video where I commented on him, the oddness of him talking about going to the IGA before heading off towards the airport, information has come out that multiple locals witnessed an argument at the IGA. And remember, he also mentioned his dog being in the car. His dog also features in this. So apparently people are claiming that they witnessed him yelling at her outside the IGA, and telling her, "You always effing do this and just F off." And apparently he was trying to drag her out of the car, and she was refusing to get out and was screaming somewhat hysterically. And he was yelling at her, "Get the F out." Saddens me that no one stepped in. Don't know what the situation was, why nobody stepped in there, but if this is true, they're claiming that he pulled her suitcase out of the car, went to the back passenger door of the car, grabbed her suitcase, threw it out of the car on the footpath, kept yelling at her, and that his dog jumped out of the car and ran from him. because it was scared, and he basically yelled at the dog to get back. So that is a claim that was made on Facebook by one individual, and a few other people chimed in and said they witnessed the same thing. All I have to say is, if you witness something like that, please call the police. I mean, this goes back to the Gabby Petito case. In that case, someone did actually call the police when they witnessed Brian and Gabby arguing in Moab. The police did do a traffic stop, and they screwed that up, and Gabby still ended up gone a week later. But, you know, if you see a situation like this out in public, then take the registration number of the car, report it to police immediately. You never know the difference you could make. So that's all I have by way of updates for you at this point in time. Of course, with this new YouTube policy, it's possible that this video will take 24 hours to upload, in which case this will all be old news. And yes, I have submitted a complaint directly to YouTube, because this is once again a policy that is going to impact severely on smaller channels. So with that said, let's just hope one of these losers speaks up and actually says where Phoebe is, so she can be taken home to her family. Because I can't imagine the sort of hell that they must be going through right now. So on that note, thanks for listening. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe. Also, please hit the like button because YouTube loves that. And please leave a comment below. Thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one.